Hi, I'm Ben Wilkinson. Now, according to the great god Google, the mind is like an umbrella. It works best when open. That's all you'll need for the remainder of this video, an open mind. Now, for no other reason than to assist with my credibility, I'd like you to know that for many years I have worked on avionic instrument systems, jet fighter aircraft, even ground-to-air missile systems. I've worked all over the world. My final job for British Aerospace was in 2013 when I worked as an avionic instrument consultant in Saudi Arabia. I wonder, is it possible that medical technologies that are totally effective and non-invasive are right now being kept from the public? I believe the answer is yes. Is it possible that greed, ego, and vested interests have allowed the loss of probably millions of lives and allowed the continuance of untold suffering? I believe the answer again is yes. Currently, there are at least 2 medical technologies that could save the National Health Service billions of pounds. They are being either suppressed or ignored. One is a cure for cancer. The other is a complete body wellness protocol. There has been a cure for cancer since 1934. The wellness protocol involves the use and knowledge of bioresonance. Bioresonance has not been authorized by NICE. All of this information is in a book called And Nothing Happened. So this book and this PDF, here's the link for the PDF if you want to read it yourself, but they can both give you all of the details you need. The fact is, the cure for cancer was deliberately suppressed. 1, in America by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and 2, in the UK by the 1939 Cancer Act and the organisation called NICE. Many of you don't even know that the 1939 Cancer Act exists, but it does, and it's still in vogue today. In America, the Food and Drug Administration protect Big pharmaceutical companies. And here in UK, nothing can be used by the NHS without NICE approval. NICE approval can take 5 years and cost up to £2 million. Section 4 of the Cancer Act ensures silence. Your local Weights and Measures office is tasked with prosecuting you if you claim to have a cure for cancer. But you can claim to have a treatment that is likely to trigger remission. Big Pharma says there is no profit in cure. The video you are about to see is from a TEDx presentation given by Professor Anthony Holland.
Usually I would be standing on this stage over here conducting the college orchestra because I'm a music professor. But tonight I'm going to talk about my moonlight activities in the field of science and how they led to a cancer research lab and an important breakthrough. Over the past 8 years, I've had the great pleasure of working with some brilliant and dedicated scientists. They were very open-minded, and we had a common dream that in the future, children would not have to suffer from cancer or from the terrible side effects of toxic drugs or radiation, because we believed there just had to be a better way. There had to be a better way, and we think we may have found it. A scientist said, "You're killing more cancer cells than as if you had used radiation." That same scientist went on, "If you had spent millions of dollars developing a new drug that killed this many cancer cells, it would be a home run." This was an astonishing thing to hear, especially for a music professor who had just completed his first experiments in a cancer lab. But we didn't use any radiation. We didn't use any drugs. So what did we do? I have here 2 identical tuning forks, both tuned to the note A, the note an orchestra tunes to. These forks are both made to vibrate 440 times per second. We say their frequency is 440 hertz. If I tap this fork, putting little pulses of energy into it, the second fork will also vibrate in sympathy. And if I silence this fork, we just may hear the other singing its tone. We say that I'm inducing a sympathetic resonant vibration in the second fork. It only works because both forks are tuned to the exact same frequency. Now, many of us have seen this very charming young man on the internet who shatters crystal glasses with his powerful voice. But if you watch him carefully, you'll see that first he taps the glass with his finger and listens. The glass sings its natural resonant pitch. Then he takes a deep breath and sings a loud, long note. He induces a resonant vibration in the crystal glass. The vibration grows larger and larger and larger until the glass is shattered. On the other end of the scale, we have a giant bridge made out of concrete and steel, a suspension bridge, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge. Cars and trucks and buses are going over it every day. And unfortunately, where they built this bridge, there was a steady wind blowing across it. And one day this wind induces a small vibration in the bridge, hardly noticeable. But the frequency of the vibration matches the resonant frequency of some part of the bridge. And the vibration gets larger and larger and larger until the bridge collapses into the river below. A destructive resonant frequency. So on one end of the scale, we have a giant concrete and steel bridge destroyed by resonance. And on the other, we have a small crystal glass shattered. So maybe we could shatter something even smaller, something really small, something you would need a microscope to see. Maybe we could shatter a living microorganism. But to do that, you'd need some sort of theory to serve as a basis. And we find that basis in a wonderful book called The Rainbow and the Worm, The Physics of Organisms, by a scientist, Mei-Wan Ho. And that book makes a very strong case that living organisms and cells are liquid crystals, or in the least, they have many properties of liquid crystals. Now, we're all familiar with liquid crystals because they are in our laptop computer screens. LCD display, liquid crystal display. And we can change the qualities of the liquid crystals in our computer screen by sending special electronic signals to it. We can change the color and the shape on the screen with these signals. So maybe we could change a biological living liquid crystal with a special electronic signal. But in order to do that, we would need some kind of device. So we search the US patent database, and we find this invention by a physician, Dr. James Baer of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's called a resonant frequency therapy device, and its purpose is to induce a resonant vibration in a living organism or cell. And there are two really important things about this device. The first is that it uses a very special kind of antenna. They take a hollow glass sphere, they evacuate the air, they put in some helium gas, and when we send in our electronic signals, the helium gas lights up like a fluorescent light. An electrified gas is called a plasma. So this is called a plasma antenna. And it has many special properties uniquely suited for this kind of work. The second important aspect about Dr. Baer's invention is that the output always pulses. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. This is very important because when you're doing research on the effects of electromagnetic waves on living organisms and cells, if the signal is constantly on, you are in danger of inducing heat in those cells. And heat causes indiscriminate destruction. And we don't want that. We want targeted destruction. So we don't have to worry about heat. And now we go to the biology laboratory and we take Dr. Baer's device, and the hunt begins through a microscope for a frequency which will shatter a living microorganism. Now we have a method of controlling Dr. Baer's device by an input control frequency. So if I put in, say, 100 hertz, out will come 100 pulses per second. If I put in 200 hertz, we'll get 200 pulses. So now we're searching for the magic frequency. And we start with 100 hertz, and we look through the microscope to see if anything's happening. We watch for 5 minutes. Nothing happens. So we try 101 hertz. We look through the scope for 5 minutes, and nothing happens. So we try 102, 103, and so on. Over the course of 15 months, we try hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we find the magic combination. The answer is you have to have two input frequencies, one low, one high, and the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we musicians would call the 11th harmonic. And when we add the 11th harmonic, we begin to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. These are the first videos taken. We showed these videos to our friends in the biology department. They said they hadn't seen anything quite like it. Seems to be a new phenomenon. These organisms are being shattered by our electronic signals. This is a harmless organism, almost friendly, a little blepharisma. And normally they're very fast swimmers, but when you approach a frequency to which they are vulnerable, they begin to slow down, then they stop, and then they begin to disintegrate within about 3 minutes. So now we know we can destroy a microorganism, and the question comes up, but can you target a specific organism with a specific frequency? So in this next video, you'll see a large organism in the center, a paramecium, undergoing disintegration, and swimming all around it, a tiny different organism, which is unharmed. If we're lucky, we'll also hear the audio as I narrate the experiment live in a noisy lab. Perhaps you can see this sort of fireworks effect happening in the growing blister to the right of the organism. And here comes a little neighbor wondering what's going on, who's testing. And you can see blisters forming now on the lower left quadrant and upper left quadrant. The shape is now changing. And a major explosion out the top. So now we have some evidence that we can target specific microorganisms with specific frequencies. And we make several more videos, and we film the destruction of hundreds of microorganisms. And about this time, we meet a cancer researcher, and we show them these videos. And this results in an invitation to spend 4 months in a cancer research lab trying to shatter cancer cells. This is our setup in the lab. You can see the microscope with cancer cells on it. Here's the plasma tube, and here's my little frequency control box. So first we attack pancreatic cancer. Take a good look at this slide, because the next one will look quite different. After we treat these cells, they change their shape and size, and they begin to grow long, rope-like structures out the sides. They look something like antennas. I call them bioantennas for biological antennas. It's as if the cancer cells are trying to tune into our signal. It also turns out this is the beginning of a process of destruction for cancer cells. We now know that cancer is vulnerable between the frequencies of 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz. So now we attack leukemia cells. Leukemia cell number 1 tries to grow a copy of itself, but the new cell is shattered into dozens of fragments and scattered across the slide. Leukemia cell number 2 then hyperinflates and also dies. Leukemia cell number 3 then tries to make another cancer cell. The new cell is shattered and the original cell dies. But killing a handful of leukemia cells is not enough for a patient. What kind of numbers can we do? In repeated controlled laboratory experiments, independently assayed by the 2 top experts, we killed an average of 25% to 42% of the leukemia cells, as high as 60%. They also determined that we slowed the growth rate of the cancer by as much as 65%, so a double effect. Now we attack ovarian cancer cells. This is a more distant shot. Here you see brackets coming up around the cells, showing groups of ovarian cancer cells which are being destroyed. You can see by the end of the video, that a great many ovarian cancer cells were destroyed. Now we attack pancreatic cancer once more. In the center of the screen is a clump of pancreatic cancer cells like a microtumor under the microscope. We turn on our electronic signals and the tumor shrinks and is broken up. The cells are disconnecting, disaggregating, the opposite of forming a tumor. And some of the cells are destroyed. In our most recent work, we attacked the deadly organism MRSA. MRSA is particularly dangerous because it's resistant to many common antibiotics. Thousands of people die every year from MRSA. They have drugs for it, but they have very toxic side effects. We found that our electronic signals could actually eliminate antibiotic resistance in MRSA. Then by adding a very small amount of a common antibiotic, we were able to kill MRSA and slow its growth rate. Since I was a 17-year-old high school student with twin interests in both music and science, I never imagined the two would come together in a cancer research lab. I now believe that the future cancer treatment rooms for children will be a very different place. It will be a pleasant place where children gather and make new friends. They probably won't even know they're sick. They'll draw pictures, color in their books, play with their toys, all the while unaware that above them are beautiful blue, pinkish plasma lights emanating healing, pulsing electric fields, shattering their cancer painlessly and non-toxically, one cell at a time. Thank you.
It would appear that Professor Holland was misinformed when he referred to Dr. James Baer as being the inventor of the resonant frequency machine. Because the use of resonant electromagnetic signals to kill cancer-causing microorganisms was first used and documented by Dr. Royal Raymond Rife in 1934. During clinical trials in San Diego, a panel of 5 specialists certified 16 cancer patients as terminally ill and suitable for the clinical trial. 14 of the patients were certified by the same panel of specialists to be cancer-free 1 month after the start of the trial. The remaining 2 took a further 2 months. These 2 models look similar to the equipment used by Professor Holland. They are available now, and they will not cost a fraction of £2 million to trial. On the other hand, this is a modern Rife-type machine, which is produced in Canada. It is banned in America even today. The plasma tube has become more conventional. When I say this machine is banned in America, I mean that it can't be produced in America. You have to go to Canada or buy it via Canada. And many thousands have been bought, both in Canada and in UK. Now it's time to introduce the other challenging technology that I talked about at the beginning of this video. And we're talking about bioresonance scanning. Calling it Natural Health Service. That's NHS, of course, but it's not the National Health Service. Because here in UK, the National Health Service is in a bad way. I'd like someone to take notice of both of these technologies and begin by opening one health clinic, but possibly going then onto a string of them. For many years now, we have accepted the electronic diagnosis of internal combustion engines. Usually they're checking about 18 points in the automatic test checkup. But even in extremely complex supersonic aircraft like the Tornado, which I've already explained I worked on for many years, has its own electronic monitoring system. It monitors about 198 systems functions continuously. The results are stored, then downloaded after the aircraft lands. This information is then used to assist in fault rectification and returning the aircraft back to optimum efficiency. So, isn't it time we caught up? Well, we have. This is a system called Asira. Asira can complete a full body scan in under 4 minutes. During that body scan, Asira takes 40,000 sample readings, again during those 4 minutes. It then compares them with 40,000 stored optimum value signals already stored in Asira. Asira then prints out a very comprehensive diagnostic report of any abnormalities or deviations from the optimum value of good health values. But it doesn't end there. Asira's comprehensive report is well worth looking at in a little more detail. Asira's report is in 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. The breakdown of the report on the screen, the 4 columns are comprehensive report about the relevant system. That's a comprehensive report about the actual system under test at the given time. Here's a more in-depth description of the system being monitored at that specific time. The next column is a result, strictly pass or fail. We have embedded within the system the optimum health signal values, and they're being compared with the scanned values. And the result will, if they're either within acceptable limits or they're outside, the result will be pass or fail. The next column gives the corrective frequencies that are to be given to correct the abnormal readings from the actual scan. Asira now imprints the corrective frequencies onto a homeopathic mixture of 20% alcohol and 80% water. There's the imprinting part of the equipment. That little stand electromagnetically imprints the corrected frequency or the corrective frequencies onto the homeopathic liquid which is within the bottle and will be taken away by the patient eventually. There's one corrective frequency for each of the failed systems. If you don't understand how a signal can be imprinted on water, then you need to take a look at a YouTube documentary, Water Memory. That's a video about the Nobel Prize laureate, Professor Luc Montagnier.
So what we're going to do today is with Juan Carlo, he's agreed to be a test subject. He knows nothing about this. I just met you about 5 minutes ago. And what I'd like to do is tell you what the unit tells me. Okay. The profiles that I'm going to do today are a comprehensive profile which scans through all systems, giving a general check. It checks for basically everything. Now, I'm also going to zero in on allergies in general, okay, where I could do food allergies, or I could do inhalant allergies, or I could do prescription allergies, but we're going to do a general screen. If we find during the general screen more specifics, then on your next visit we would do more and delve deeper. Okay, I'm also going to do some emotional profiles that help to bring out any inner stresses that are present. And what I want you to do is hold this in this hand, good, and hold this in the other hand. And all I'm going to do is press a little button here, and the unit is going to start the scan. It's initializing, and now it's going to run through 20 different system profiles. It's not diagnosing a specific disease, but it's looking for abnormalities in the electronic blueprint of different tissues. In your case, it's coming up with central nervous system dysfunction and frontal sinuses. Do you tend to get stuffiness in the above the head? Okay, so that correlates there. In the meridians, it's coming up with kidney and liver resonance issues.
Once the complete body scan has finished, signal values A and B are digitally compared, and the pass or fail results are presented in column 4 of the on-screen report. All 40,000 signals can be compared in 45 to 46 seconds. Imprinting the homeopathic medium takes about 45 seconds.
So we have two ways to treat you. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test you for balance, and I'm going to test you for electromagnetic field, since electromagnetic appeared to be a sensitivity, or in this case it was X-ray. To treat you, we have two ways of doing it. The classic is a homeopathic medium, which is basically water with a 20% alcohol base. And what the unit will do is it will imprint into the vial the electronic signature of all of these remedies that we just discussed. And for me, it's very simple to do. I'll go to the test plate, click on imprint, and we'll do a short imprint time, and we'll start it. And in 45 seconds it'll be done. While we're waiting on the imprint, I want you to stand up, and I'm going to test you first for electromagnetic. So let's just hold your arm up, show me strong arm, push up, good. I'm going to put a cell phone up to your ear, we'll do it to this side, push up, push your arm up, push your arm up. See how weak you go? Push up. Okay, we'll try the other side. Push up, show me strong arm, like a rock, push up, and you blow out. Feel the difference? Wasn't me. The next is stand on your left foot, okay, hold your arm up, push up, and you fell over. We're going to do the same thing here. Lift your push up. Okay, lift your left leg all the way up, push up. Okay, you feel how, was I pushing hard?
Not at all.
You just pretty much fell over. So now, if the remedy works, and this is energetic, and it works as fast as your computer works, just by holding the remedy in your hand, stand on your foot, out the other foot, yep, stand up, push up.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Is that unbelievable? Yeah, go ahead, switch. Okay, stand on that foot, push up.
Wow.
Right, now, most people say, oh, okay, now you know I was pushing 10 times harder. I'm going to take the remedy away, right, and now stand on the foot, push up, and you fell right over. So, and then you hold it, okay, push up. Incredible.
That's incredible.
Okay.
That's incredible.
Now, at the same time, let's test you with the cell phone. So while you're holding the remedy, we'll test you to see whether you're weak against radiation. Not only could you stand on one foot, but you didn't lose the strength. Just to double check, we'll take it away. By the way, the longer you hold the remedy, the longer it holds. So push up. Okay, now keep your feet on the ground. Just hold, push your arm up. See how you go weak again?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we know, yeah, we know that the remedy definitely will work for you. So the next step is the remedy imprints the electronic signatures from the inside out on your tongue. Have a seat. And now we can also use a green laser, and the green laser can be imprinted with all the same signatures. The difference is the laser inputs like particulate frequencies, or like solid frequencies into the body, and it gives a very, very powerful response. Like once it's done, you're strong, you stay strong. You can't just take it away.
Wow.
And that will last for several days to several weeks. The liquid remedy you take twice a day, and that keeps maintaining it. At the end of a month, we recheck you to see what's still there, and more than not, if you had 50 items, and we check you in a month, you'll have 3 or 4 that still haven't cleared. So we'll keep those 3 or 4, and then we'll do the next profile. If your main weakness was in the area of the hormone imbalances, like you're a menopausal female, we'd do a hormonal profile, and then clear those. Do another month, we'd do an NAET profile for clearing out additional allergens. And we have about 20 different profiles we can do, but generally speaking, it takes 1 treatment a month for 3 to 4 months to clear the majority of basic symptoms, and it may take up to a year to clear the severe symptoms like fibromyalgia and peripheral neuropathies.